Okay, and so here's the game that we're going to be looking at. This is Petrosian versus Fischer. This is in Bobby Fischer's memorable games, number 3. You did some of them? It's number 3. Yeah, I was going to embark on reading every single one of them once. I got like halfway through. He goes into great detail. It's a fantastic book. It's one of the best chess books. Can we shut the door? Because it's like spiders out there and snakes. It's scary. And what's out there? And your sister, right. That's the scariest thing. My only complaint about this book is that every single game is like a Sicilian or a King's Indian, which is fine, but it just kind of gets old for me after a while. I like seeing a whole bunch of different openings every time, which I guess just reflects the way I play. I always play something different, because openings are not the problem I struggle with. So that's the only thing. If you don't like those 2 openings, then you're not going to like the book, because that's basically every single game. And we'll read a little bit from his book. He nicknamed this game Bear Hug. And it looks like there's notation here already on ChessBase. So maybe this is Fischer's notation, maybe it's not. If I need to turn that off, we'll do it without the notation. He calls it Bear Hug because Petrosian with the white pieces here actually really squeezes him. So it's a great middle game lecture, because it's how to slowly improve your pieces. And Petrosian and Fischer had completely different styles. Fischer likes wild, sacrifice everything, and Petrosian just likes to be this much better and then slowly increase his advantage, and it grows and grows. So it's a battle of 2 completely different styles. And in this game, White actually emerged from the opening with a really good position. And so you might think this is in English, but it's in this book. So by necessity, it'll eventually become a King's Indian, even though D3 was played. Yeah, you're not gonna see D4 coming, are you? But after knight to H5, here we'll start looking after the move D4, D3, D4, and White gets the better position. So White is hoping that this slight loss of time is justified by the fact that the knight is a little bit out of play. Had you just gone D4 immediately in this position, normal King's Indian, Black plays E5, normal Fian Shadow King's Indian. But okay, he's like, all right, I'm going to exploit the fact that you made this knight move over here and just gain some space, and let's play this position. So far so good. All right, we'll see. All right, in D5. So here we'll see if... Yeah, we'll give you guys one more move. And then here's Black's big plan, F5. Okay, so very King's Indian-like. And I guess I'll start to see if the class can play like Petrosian from here on out. Is he going to shut it all the way? Oh, he did it. Yay. So here actually... Okay, a very common idea when they play F5, you take it. And Black has to decide how to take back. Always play E takes F5. Is Feingold your teacher? You've seen him because he's done 100,000 lectures. All right, welcome. What's that?
Put the less expensive point piece forward first.
So you want to take with the pawn?
No, not the pawn. Keep the pawn structure.
So yeah, you're thinking about, you want to take with the least valuable, which is not the pawn?
Well, if you play knight takes, you only have G.
Yeah, so he does analyze this. He says this is actually very tempting. He says tempting but unsound is this move. Okay, he sees G4, obviously. So he's like, this is... Okay, here. Have my knight. Is there any real compensation here for Black? Sort of? No, not really? I mean, Fischer analyzed it. And everything he does is like 40 moves long. Like he just keeps going and going and going. He like never stops till like the game's over. Even the simplest thing is like, here's all the way to the end of the game. Which is impressive because he didn't have a computer. And it's also remarkable how well he did. You know, if you fact check it with a computer, he's mostly right. But here, black actually can get a lot of compensation. Here I'm just threatening to get the piece back. I'm attacking f3 for the third time. Here. Yeah. So there's this sacrifice with the idea of going here. And he says white is better. So he did calculate this. So just because he's getting forked, it doesn't mean it's necessarily unplayable. So here, okay, there's going to be some trades. I'm going to take like rooks and bishops, and okay, it's going to be really complicated. So there's certainly compensation, but white should be better, according to Fischer. So that's actually an interesting way to take back, but it doesn't quite work out for black. Okay, so there's 3 other ways to capture. Yes, so yeah, bishop, rook, pawn.
Don't you still get forked if you take with the rook?
If you take with the rook, you still get forked, and you don't. Well, what if you play rook here? Oh wait, no. So this taking with the rook obviously makes the least sense. But the sound's on, so that's good. And Simon will be happy when he hears that. He'll say it was too soft.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens if I take with the bishop? This is an interesting question.
Kind of prevents the pawn moving forward.
Yeah, it kind of prevents which pawn moving forward? This one?
Or
Yeah, g4 no longer is an option. So that's...
Taking with the bishop feels unnatural.
What's the downside of taking with the bishop?
I like it because
I think he goes over this. Yeah, and he has like some wild tactical continuation.
Well, if you take with the pawn, right, and you also get the open g file and the g6 or 39, this seems unnatural because your pieces don't have enough squares.
Because the black pieces don't have enough squares. Because, yeah, what's the bishop doing there? And it's also giving white access here to the e4 square. So he can go here, and you might be thinking he's going to go here, but he's Bobby Fischer, so he's going to play a typical King's Indian sacrifice, jumping in to e6. So he analyzes this sacrifice. Okay, it's a very typical pawn sacrifice, so very King's Indian-like. And, you know, the line, it just keeps going forever. I take here, and I go back. And if you take here, and he says white is better. Obviously, you can't take because, okay, check. Boop. So returning, taking with the pawn, which is what happened in the game, controls a lot more squares. And I guess we're looking at it from Petrosian's point of view. I guess we could flip it, but I kind of like it from this point of view. So he takes here, which controls, okay, several squares here. And Petrosian's probably happy because the pawn structure is slightly compromised for black. The king's a little bit exposed. Fischer's probably happy, dynamic, compensation. So everybody's happy right now. A little tactic. And this was, we had to see this coming when the knight was placed here. So obviously it is sort of weird to play f5 and take back with the pawn, you know, just leaving this guy vulnerable. So white did he just win a pawn? Knight takes g3. You remember this? Do you remember which way he took back? Because it surprised Mr. Fischer. He says, after h takes, simple and good. I had expected f takes, but Petrosian eschews the kingside attack and plays for control of the center instead. His judgment turns out to be right, which again just sort of highlights the difference between the two players. Petrosian's like thinking positionally, you know, control the center, and Fischer's thinking go attack and, you know, get these pawns going and get some pressure on the f file. But okay, so Petrosian plays a Petrosian move. And again, how to take back now? We're going to take the knight, but there's 2 ways to do it. So he gives the way that he took back a question mark. Okay, and that's what he did, and he says he doesn't like it.
I like it just because it's.
He says here offers him more play, so he's going to play moves like e4. You can reroute this knight into the action. You have a question?
It makes more sense this way though, because
Makes more sense this way.
Indian right for black,
Mhm.
your pawn's actually pointing toward the king side, so you
Right.
place all on the king side. If you take with the bishop, then most of your king side play, at least with the pawns.
Right, and that's exactly what happens. He takes with the bishop, and then all of his kingside play is gone.
And Petrosian just has queenside play, and you don't have anything in commons.
Yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, the white just goes on to get a very good position after this point. Okay. F4. Again, just designed at minimizing any kingside play you might have. If I can take away all of your kingside play, and then I can start getting focused here on the queen side, moves like b4, c5, that sort of a thing. And white's been playing very patient. He's just sort of waiting, trying to restrict all of the counterplay that black might have, and that's his style of play. Obviously, he's happy. You want to double my pawns, that would be fine. But Fischer wisely keeps the dark squared bishop because he's made a lot of dark squared weaknesses around his king. All right, and now another simple move. So okay, it's a middle game class, and all he really does is he just constantly improves his pieces here and tries to. He has two goals: restrict all of black's counterplay, because eventually we're going to win on the queen side, and just improve all of the pieces. He's very good at just getting his pieces to good squares. There's certainly more than one right move here, but I guess what would the audience play in this position as white? Okay, a very good concept. Yeah, we want the knight on e6 and rook on e1. This is definitely a part of the plan. And so, yeah, there are a lot of good answers. Yeah, rook e1, perfectly fine move. It does keep it with the idea of eventually we're going to try to get our knight there.
It also makes sense to trade off.
Yeah, and bishop e3 also makes sense with your idea. We're going to try to trade off the dark squared bishops. This is sort of one of the best pieces for black. He's a really good defender and attacker. So if we can weaken the dark squares by making this trade, then we're doing very well as white. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Okay. And bishop d4. Now, in this position, a very, very tough move here. So try to understand. So we're going to play as white. Let's try to understand what black wants to do. Let's try to think prophylactically here. Which Petrosian is typically good at. But as neither player saw this idea that was possible here for black, if it's white's turn, but he played here, which Fischer calls careless. But he didn't find a way to get activity. So this move actually is really tough. I think finding the right move, at least according to Fischer, is a tall order. So, okay, let's just put this on the board for a second. We're going to come right back. In this position, how does black get some activity here?
If it's careless, then that means.
H5. So yeah, exactly. So this is what I guess both players missed in H5, with the ideas of H4 in the future, and you like black, right? And so both players actually missed this idea. So that's good. I'm glad we were able to find that. So what at least does Fischer think that white should play in this position? Bishop takes g7. Yeah, it's okay, probably. So I think white certainly doesn't mind you taking and bringing my queen to the center. It's a good diagonal.
What about bishop f3?
Yeah, so he gives bishop f3, just preventing this idea. And he stops there, but he's, okay, this is the way to stop black's potential to get some counterplay. Okay. But here, and now, not taking and playing h5. Rook f7. Which, let's see if he makes fun of himself. Alright, he says black doesn't get a second chance because, okay, this time Petrosian plays it. Bishop f3, just aimed at preventing h5 in the future. Queen f8, what's the idea? Makes room, yeah, that's definitely a part of it, so we can trade. And who wants to trade a lot of stuff here?
White.
White wants to trade a lot of stuff?
White ones.
No.
Who wants to trade stuff?
Black.
Black wants to trade the stuff. White has more space, black's a little bit cramped. White is obviously a little bit better. Black doesn't have anything going on this side of the board. White, at some moment here, will be able to play b4, c5, that sort of idea. And, okay, it's black that wants to trade stuff.
And have his queen operating on dark squares.
So, perhaps we take and queen g7 and trade lots of stuff, Danny Machuca style. His favorite kind of chess. Okay, he brought the king in. Sometimes I might use the h-file. My king's a little bit closer. All right, just a good move. And let's trade lots of stuff. All right. We traded all the stuff. Queen d4. Now black plays a prophylactic move. So there's a lot of stuff has happened. So anytime there's these massive trades, we want to kind of stop for a second and rethink the position because it's changed quite substantially in nature now that a lot of things have left the board. And so here it's becoming a little more obvious that white is just about ready to start playing on the queen side. Black still has nothing going on the king side, so we're looking at moves like c5, maybe b4 and c5. So a common way to prevent that, move b6. There might be some light squared issues in the future, but okay, we need to sort of stop this move here, and then after here, White has effortlessly achieved a plus, and now he wants to improve his position before embarking on the committal course, which is, of course, the move b4, which threatens c5, is much sharper, and poses more immediate problems. So if Fischer were white, he would have played the move b4. So he kind of criticizes the move rook h1, although white is still better. It gives black time to play the move a5. Okay, so black has been able to, at least for the moment, deter all sorts of queenside play. At some point you might want to play a3 and b4. But he's trying to make it as difficult as possible. What's the idea? Knight d1. And this is what Petrosian's good at. Okay, he remaneuvers all of his pieces to better squares.
You want to go after the c7 pawn eventually?
Want to go after the c7 pawn?
And then eventually getting his knight up to b5.
Getting the knight to b5.
Yeah, the bishop is there now.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, and then... okay, so of course if you put a knight here and you take, white has this pressure along the c-file, but perhaps it's not enough. We have a rook, a queen, we have lots of ways to defend our weak pawn. Will it be enough? It wasn't quite his idea in this position.
Maybe going after f5.
Maybe he's going after f5. Is that what you're going to say?
I thought he might put his knight on d3.
He might put his knight on d3. What's your knight doing on d3? Just supporting c5, so like supporting b4 and c5. These sort of pushes, which also, I mean, again, there's not like there's just one right or wrong move, but he decides he's going to go after the weakness. He's very patient. I'll do stuff over here a lot later. I just want to start focusing on what's going on over here. So one way of attacking it is knight d3. And he might also consider remaneuvering his bishop to d3. Petrosian keeps building without getting sidetracked, even by good moves. I was more afraid of a certain move tying me down completely. So, what's the tie him down completely move? This is a tricky one, I think. A4. Well, even if this doesn't blunder a pawn, we probably don't want to play this, because now how are you ever going to play b4 and c5? Knight e3 was played in the game.
But he's saying Fischer's saying there was something that just puts him in zugzwang or something that.
So it's not zugzwang, it ties him down. So this actually is a very clever move that could have been played. So bishop h5, yeah. Why is this move so good? What does this move prevent? The rook from moving. Because if rook here, we can take the knight, open the h file, and okay, white wins. So that's the move Fischer was afraid of. Makes sense, but I kind of like what he said. Yeah, he doesn't get sidetracked even by good moves. That's kind of funny. It's a polite jest at his opponent. Okay, so he's going after the f pawn. The bishop can come over. The rook can go to h5. We can get lots of pressure here. And obviously, white is still better. That's why he calls this game the bear hug, because he's just getting squeezed here, like he's getting hugged from a bear. All right, so now he gets to play this move. Spoilers? Well, it's the very first thing, bear hug. Yeah. Okay. And now just another nice move here by black. I still want to trade pieces. Let's just trade, ease the cramp. And, okay, you either trade or you go off of that really nice diagonal. So you're basically compelled to take. Otherwise, you would just be helping black out. A3? Eventually. Yeah, right. It's move 28. I'm going to get started over there eventually. Maybe I want to play b4 at a time in which maybe I can swing over to the a file. Come along to the 7th rank. Get even more pressure. Slowly building. Alright. So now if b4, which I think does he mention it? Is this in the notes? If b4, now it would actually be a mistake. This is what black is trying to prevent. Because now it is black that gets to go over to the a file. So this would be a big mistake. But that's fine. White's probably, I'll just be really patient. Continue with the slow moves. But okay, he's like, my other plan was attacking your f-pawn. Bishop e2, bishop d3. Rook h5. Protects his stuff. Someday, I would like to go here. Someday, or maybe here, someday. I have these dreams. Interesting. We're coming up now on another very fascinating point of the game. So a tactical move. Quite a nice move. I mean, let's see if we can understand this. Bishop e8. Totally blundering the f-pawn. Why did he remove a defender? It's just silly, right? Why would Bobby Fischer do that? What's the idea here? what if I just take this, right?
No.
King G6?
Wait,
Is that
no.
King G6?
Never mind.
Okay. Check. You're in check.
I know you can't move into one of the G6 or H7,
Oh,
but
you have to take it. Or else he takes your A6 pawn.
I just take.
Yeah, you just take.
He has to take with the rook.
Has to take with the rook. Bishop G6. I'll take your rook.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You'll take back. I'll take that. Somehow. Yeah, you don't want to play Bishop G6. Well, you do, but you don't want the rooks attacking each other.
So, the rook's trapped, so you can move your rook away.
Right, the rook's trapped, so you can move your rook away. And how funny is that? The rook ends up getting trapped. Yeah, the next move now is Bishop G6. So, wow, I mean, that's just fantastic. I really like that move, Bishop E8. That's just genius. He also analyzes this funny move. And then, what does he think black should play? It's great. It's the great move, obviously. You're laughing, so I think you know what it is.
Maybe some other sir.
Yeah, rook H8. Your rook's trapped. Bishop G6. Yeah, I don't want your exchange. I'm just gonna. I'll get it a different way. So that's great. Okay, fantastic move. It's probably my favorite move of the game. Rook H2. Why not Rook H1? Nobody knows. But Rook H2 is a fine move. Okay. Bishop D6. Let's see. So it's funny. We're gonna see this again. He moves his rook one square, then he moves it one more square. We're gonna see that again. So let's just relive that in slow motion. You got that, Ben Simon? Rook H2, Rook H1. Okay. Remember that. There's gonna be a similar maneuver coming up. You know, why go somewhere in one time when you can do it in two moves? You know. And that is sort of how he plays. He likes to play cat and mouse. He likes to just sort of wait and wait and wait, which, okay, is a very professional attitude. You never want to do anything because it's chess. He's just waiting. Maybe Bobby will do something. He'll do something crazy. You know, who knows? He's going to lash out violently somewhere, and then he'll make weaknesses and he'll blunder the game away. That's what he's waiting for. He's just waiting. You know, Rook H2, Rook H1. I just wait. No, I mean, well, it is move 33, but I don't think it's time pressure. I think that's just his style. That's what he does. If he can do something in one move, or if he can do it in 5 moves, he'll do it in 5 moves. That's his style. It gives you more time to make mistakes. Because, I mean, what's black going to do? How's black going to get counterplay here? It's not very obvious. So he's just waiting, bear hugging Bobby Fischer, and, okay, he's just waiting for you to just collapse. So, okay, black has to be very patient and just also do nothing. But all right, they were both able to do that in this game. Knight to C2, exclam. Headed for an even stronger post on D4. I was amazed during the game. Each time Petrosian achieved a good position, he managed to maneuver into a better one. You want to come in? Just make sure that door's shut because, you are out there and you're scary. All right. We've been talking about you a lot. Mostly good. But mostly good. Okay. Just a nice little patient move. 94, that's where he's going. Okay, looking at some of these late squares. Nothing's ever happening. Rook where?
Rook H5, no? Right.
Rook H5?
Part of the plan.
You can play Rook H5 again. Okay, I probably play King F6 again. And then you're going to play Rook here, Rook here, Rook here, and Rook back. And then we'll do something else.
And then we make time.
And then you make time? Yeah, move 40. You'll make move 40 if you do it that way. And yeah, it's nice to try out all these squares.
Well, then
Yeah, how could he play so bad? He could have gone Rook here, then Rook here, Rook here, Rook here.
Rook E1.
More waiting. Much more professional. Bishop e2. But he's just pretending. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. But he's just pretending. It's all a joke. He doesn't actually do that. Feigning an invasion with bishop h5, rook e1, knight e6. White has 2 wings to operate on. Black must be flexed to react appropriately, and this requires alertness. And having said that, he says he panics and gives his opponent the opportunity he's been waiting for, but he didn't do that. Okay. He says here, and he says this is a mistake. Why would he think this is a mistake? Why would he criticize this move? It looks pretty good. I'll go to e4. Looks good. What does this possibly allow?
On the b4.
b4. But Petrosian didn't do it. Or he did do it. Yeah, did he do it? Yeah, he did do it. b4. And so this is what White... I just assumed he wouldn't do anything because he's Petrosian. I thought he'd just keep waiting. This is what he's been waiting for. The opportunity that when the A file opens up, it's White that gets his rook over to the A file and up to the 7th rank. Okay.
That's what's bad about the knight.
Yeah, so he says instead he should play rook a8. And only then, after some random maneuvers, I think he gives this crazy line. And something. Okay. Yeah, some crazy line. Okay, so let's go back to the game. Knight g8, question mark, b4. Petrosian does something. On move 37. That's when you should start pushing your queenside. Move 37. Very patient player. All right, this was obviously his idea. But okay, bishop d3. So if you put your knight there, I'll take you. I undefended this square, so okay, you might check me, but I'm going to start moving over to the other side. He didn't check him. That would be unprofessional. He took here. He had to defend this. This was attacked twice. And now it's White that conquers the A file. So, okay, again, he's still getting squeezed. He's still getting hugged by a bear here. It's move 40. So White has finally achieved his ideal setup, but Black's game is still tenable. All right. See, professionals, they wait 2 or 3 moves and then check. It's the professional way. More checks. And now, this is the funny move, right? So you remember the funny rook stuff on the H file? You're going to like these moves too. Rook A6. Okay, possibly C5 stuff, and my rook's on the same thing here. Rook A7. Right? That was good. He got there in 2 moves.
No, just like D3 and D4.
Just like, yeah, right, D3, D4. Yeah, and then Rook H2, H1. Rook A6, A7. He's the best. Okay. Now, the next move White plays here, he says, well, I guess reading this will give it away. This pawn sack caught me completely by surprise. It's the only line that gives Black any trouble. So, which pawn sack?
Come on.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so what is this sacrifice, though? Why is he giving up a pawn here?
So that you can clear to the 6th rank and maybe, no.
You can get 2 pieces for a rook.
2 pieces for a rook, you say? You're just kidding?
I just saw.
You just saw?
No, I saw a line.
You saw a line. Okay. We've sacrificed a pawn, but okay, they're not the strongest pawn. Here comes the knight. He's jumping into e5. Very nice dark square for the knight, where the bishop can't take him. And Okay, he gives this as a major error because even the lowest rated among us will find
95 check.
Yeah, 95 check, forking the king and bishop. Okay,
Yeah, I saw that.
good. Okay, so that's funny that Fischer would analyze that. He normally doesn't analyze those little lines, but he's very thorough. Okay, so instead the king goes here. You're going to get checked, but now it's the king that can go over and defend the bishop. All right. So an interesting decision. He's going to go ahead and win this f5 pawn, but obviously giving away a very nice knight. All right, but pawns are pawns, so that's what happens. Yeah,
Is this, wait, is what happened? Or-
this is what happened. This is the game.
Yeah, but rook and bishop is much better than rook and knight.
Rook and bishop is much better than rook and knight because you watch every Feingold lecture. So pretty soon here we're gonna come to an endgame. He analyzes this move like 1,000 moves deep. It's a draw. All right, so g4. And so very interesting endgame. And now a mistake, if I remember. He plays king d6. Should be the losing move! Exclam. Correct is what move? So again, everything's changed. A lot of stuff has happened. Okay, so he says, knight f6, exclam. All right. And now, brace yourself. You can take. And okay, collecting all these pawns, it's going to be a draw. And he probably analyzes it for 1,000 more moves, but all right, that's enough. But instead, he played here, which should be the losing move, which might make you think that he didn't lose. And you'd be right. All right, so now he took exclam. And we get this very fascinating endgame. So white for the moment is a pawn up. King e3. Rook e8. So be careful. Which way is the king going to go?
He wants to stop the fast pawns. I mean,
He's
he's going to go to the queen side.
going to go to the queen side. He didn't go to the queen side because
He did not.
he did not, because of black's next move here. So if here black has a move that will result in a drawn position. Yeah. Rook g8, yeah. Okay, so you're losing this guy. So for that reason, okay, he has to go to the king side, which, yeah, isn't that a bit scary? Isn't it? Okay, doesn't that feel a little, so that's what's happening here. Rook a6, sure. So very interesting. And now, both players have 2 passed pawns, assuming this pawn is passed. Maybe it's not, who knows, what? So I do want to show, okay, you can get the book for yourself. It's a good book. You can go through every single possible line. He said white could have played rook h7, and then, 60 moves from now, he wins, or whatever crazy thing he says. But we'll just look at rook h1. This was a game. He says question mark. And there's going to be a reason that I'm showing you this game at the very end, for those of you that were in the last class. So here comes the pawn marches, and 1,000 moves deep. These people here can see it. You can't see it at home, but it just keeps going and going and going, and he never stops. But the ending, you'll see why I want to show this to you guys. Okay, what's going on here?
You're going to have to stack your rook. Both rooks are going to get stacked, and then you're going to have to, the white king will have to stop that c5 pawn. So.
Yeah, how is it? Yeah. So very interesting, right? What's going on
I
here?
already know it's drawn because somebody spoiled it.
You know it's drawn because somebody spoiled it? Well, okay, it was drawn, but it doesn't really spoil it. I mean, how? I got 2 pawns. I'm gonna make a queen. Right? Aren't I 1,000 times faster? And here, the game was agreed to a draw. But we're gonna find out why. And here he says, his final thing on this game, I offered the draw, not realizing it was bad etiquette. It was Petrosian's place to extend the offer after the move that we're going to look at here as a class. So let's, just for a minute here, let's imagine we're black. I mean, that's, yeah, I'll call on you later. Let's imagine we're black here. Let's give people a chance. How would,
What's black?
yeah, how are you gonna draw this? I'm never calling on you. I might. And there's more than one answer, so.
G6 draws.
Rook takes G6
Because
draws.
it's a bishop pawn.
Because it's a
About
bishop
that last
pawn.
lecture.
Yeah, this guy went to the lecture. So here's the answer. It's a bishop pawn.
Goes to, the short,
And the king, we remember the magic squares. The king is on the short side here.
G6 and the white one.
The other white one?
E7. No, E7.
No, D2.
Which one?
Uh,
We're on the short side.
so
So E7. No,
So E E7.
I mean, oh god. E2.
Right.
D.
E2? D2. Which one is it? We're on the short side.
D. D.
D2. And if the white king is 1 square away from either of these, it would be a win for white. Let's make these. It's tough to tell if the king is close enough. So this is our last chance to color anything tonight. Nope, he's not quite in the box. So this would indeed be a draw. And again, just to repeat, okay, it'd be the same sort of scenario where, okay, you can keep doing this and then stalemate me whenever you want. And he does give a second way. So that's good. That was his main line. There's a second way. And you know, it's the same sort of idea. It's a little bit funnier. Rook anywhere. And I go do this, and king somewhere, and we get the same scenario. So I did give 2 ways. And it was funny because I showed this to somebody else, and they immediately saw that, but not rook G6. But I thought this was the more obvious choice. So I like the other one. I like this only because it was less obvious to me, at least. So okay, so that was a nice little Fischer game, sort of tied in there at the end to the last lecture. So thank you guys for coming out. And if you liked the video, hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.